You ever take the long way home? And I mean the really long way where what should have been a simple trip just spirals into this life-changing epic? Well, today we're diving into the original story of The Long Way Home. It's about a guy just trying to get back to his own front door, and it turns out his 3,000-year-old story might just be the survival guide we all need right now.
20 years. Just let that sink in for a second. We're talking about a decade fighting a war, and then another entire decade just trying to get back. That's the kind of scale we're working with for our hero, Odysseus. The stakes? They really couldn't be any higher. And that's exactly how we're going to treat it, because the Odyssey is so much more than some ancient poem with sea monsters and angry gods. When you really look close, it's a brilliant 3,000-year-old manual for navigating the exact kinds of challenges we all face today. So what is this thing really? Well, it's an ancient Greek epic poem passed down by storytellers for generations before it was finally written down. And the reason it has stuck around for so long isn't just because of the adventure. It's because it's really about the battle between who we are and what tempts us, between our own ego and the hard truth of reality. The sheer scope here is just incredible. You've got 24 books. Think of them like chapters, stretching across more than 12,000 lines of poetry. And it's all telling the story of one guy, Odysseus, and his 20-year-long struggle to get back home. It's a huge piece of work, but as you'll see, its core lessons are surprisingly simple and seriously powerful. So everything, and I mean everything, comes down to this one Greek word, metis. This is Odysseus's superpower. It's not super strength or anything like that. It's cunning, it's strategy, it's cleverness. It's this core idea that brains will always beat brute force, and it is absolutely the best tool we have for our own long journeys home. And you know, the first place Odysseus has to use all that cunning intelligence is on himself. His biggest obstacles? They're not always giant monsters out in the world. They're the internal battles, the temptation, the procrastination. So let's look at the rules for taming those inner demons. So pretty early in his journey, Odysseus' crew discovers the land of the Lotus-Eaters. They eat this fruit that makes them totally forget about wanting to go home. It's this comfortable feeling that just erases their purpose. Sound familiar? It's the exact same trap as the infinite scroll on your phone, or binge watching a whole series until 3 in the morning. It feels good in the moment, but it makes you forget what you were trying to do. So here's our first rule, and it's a practical one. Make a Lotus list. Seriously. What are the 3 habits that consistently make you forget your real goals? Name them. Then, set a non-negotiable daily timer for them. See, this isn't about having more willpower. It's about building a system to protect your focus so you don't have to rely on willpower. Now, this next one, this is such a brilliant parallel for today. The sirens, right? They would lure sailors to crash on the rocks with this beautiful song that promised them everything they wanted to hear. Today, our sirens are the constant pings, the notifications, the urgent emails. They promise connection and productivity, but they can shipwreck our day just as easily. Odysseus knew he couldn't just resist the siren song. Willpower was going to fail, so he built a system. He had his men tie him to the ship's mast, and that's rule number 2. For the temptations you can't just ignore, you have to build constraints. Use website blockers, turn off notifications. For those impulse purchases, create a mandatory 48-hour cool-off rule. You are literally restraining your future, less disciplined self. But what happens when the trap is, well, wonderful? Odysseus spends 7 years on a paradise island with the goddess Calypso. He's comfortable, he's safe, he's basically immortal. But he's not home. This is the golden cage, that dead-end job that pays well, the stable relationship that isn't really going anywhere. It feels safe, but it's actually a prison for your potential. Okay, this one's tough. Rule number 3, you have to audit your golden cages. Ask yourself, honestly, does this comfortable situation conflict with my actual long-term goals and values? And if the answer is no, then you need to schedule a block of time, like 5 hours on your calendar this month, to workshop an actual exit plan. Don't just dream about leaving, you have to strategize it. Of course, the journey home isn't all in your head. Odysseus also had to face real external crises, impossible choices, and, yeah, the devastating fallout from his own ego. So these are the rules for navigating the storms that come at you from the outside world. And this one is a huge lesson in ego management. After brilliantly blinding the Cyclops and escaping, Odysseus just can't help himself. He has to shout his real name back at the monster.
Huge mistake, because the Cyclops then prays to his father, the sea god Poseidon, who then makes Odysseus' life a living nightmare for years. The lesson is timeless. A little moment of pride can cost you years of trouble.
But what about when there's no good option? At one point, Odysseus has to sail his ship between two terrors. Scylla, a six-headed monster that will absolutely eat 6 of his men, and Charybdis, a giant whirlpool that will swallow the entire ship. This is the very definition of a necessary trade-off, a universal problem for anyone who has to make a hard call to keep the mission alive.
This gives us rule number 4, a crucial strategy for any crisis. You have to choose the smaller monster. Odysseus decides to sail past Scylla. He knowingly sacrifices 6 men to save everyone else and the ship. It's a brutal calculation, but it's necessary. The key is to accept that you can't have a perfect win and then pick the loss that allows you to keep going.
So, after all these monsters, both inside and out, what's the big takeaway? How do we build our own Ithaca? A life that's actually aligned with what we want. It all comes down to a really simple but incredibly powerful philosophy. This is the core idea of this whole explainer. The Odyssey isn't a story about a hero with superhuman willpower. It's about a strategist who builds systems to protect himself from his own worst impulses. Tying himself to the mast, putting wax in his crew's ears, those are systems. Because willpower's gonna fail. Good systems, though, they endure.
So here it is, your personal toolkit, based on everything we just talked about. Timebox your wins so you don't celebrate your way into a new problem. Make that Lotus list of your top 3 distractions and put them on a timer. Set up those mast constraints for your big temptations. Write down your hard choices in a single sentence to get clear. And finally, practice unrequited kindness. It is the perfect antidote to that Cyclops ego. In the end, it was the hospitality of strangers that got Odysseus home, proving that generosity, not pride, is what clears the path. So, as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this question. Think about it. What is that beautiful, alluring song that pulls you off course day after day? What is the #1 siren you're going to commit to silencing, or at least tying to the mast this week? Because getting home isn't about one giant heroic leap. It's about all the small, smart decisions you make to just keep the ship pointed in the right direction.